Have you ever noticed how in Japan there are almost no obese people? Meanwhile, in the United States, Canada, and Australia, obesity has become a silent epidemic, one that grows even when no one notices. Now, imagine it's not just about what you eat, but how, when, with whom, and even why you eat. What do you think the Japanese do so differently that keeps them among the thinnest and longest living peoples in the world? Get ready, because in the next few minutes, you'll discover the 10 factors that explain how Japan escaped obesity while the rest of the world was dangerously gaining weight. And the best part, what you can start applying today. This video is more than information. It's an invitation to change your way of viewing food and health. So go ahead and like it now, because this journey will open your mind. And if you stay until the end, I'll show you how to transform these habits into real results in your life. Imagine walking through Tokyo and noticing something unusual. No matter what the age of the people, children, young people, or elderly, almost no one is overweight. It's not a coincidence, it's a consequence. In Japan, only about 4.5% of the adult population is obese, while in the United States, this number exceeds 41%. But why such a brutal difference? Is it genetics? Do they eat less? Do they have some secret that the rest of the world hasn't discovered yet? The answer lies in various details that, when combined, create a food, physical, and social culture totally different from the Western one. It's not about dieting, it's about a lifestyle deeply rooted in tradition, education, and the way they view food as part of health and identity. From breakfast to the last meal, everything seems carefully balanced, with small portions, natural ingredients, and a philosophy that values moderation. And there's more. There's no culture of snacking all the time or eating in front of the TV. Eating is a ritual, not a pastime. In this video, we'll explore all of this, and you'll realize that some of the solutions to combat obesity already exist, and they're on the other side of the world. Tell me in the comments, have you noticed this cultural difference between East and West? Have you tried applying any of these habits to your routine? Leave your opinion, because this exchange can help other people who are watching too.
Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a typical Japanese plate. Polished white rice, a slice of grilled salmon, steaming miso soup, crispy seaweed, and a handful of pickled vegetables. Seems simple, right? But this simplicity is full of science and tradition. Smaller portions, greater satiety. The traditional Japanese meal is composed of several small items. Psychologically, this tricks the brain into thinking it's receiving a lot of volume, even with fewer calories. Low energy density. Seaweed, vegetables, and fish have high amounts of water and fiber. Result? You feel satisfied without overloading the caloric scale. Balance of flavors. Umami in the spotlight. Soy sauce, dashi, and miso offer umami, the fifth taste. This gustatory profile increases satisfaction and reduces the desire for super sugary foods. Protective fermented foods. Miso, natto, and tsukemono, pickles, feed a diversified intestinal microbiota that improves fat metabolism and regulates inflammation. Respect for food. There's a concept called itadikamasu, which expresses gratitude before eating. This ritual decreases haste and increases mindful eating, reducing impulsive consumption. Contrast this with the typical Western lunch. A giant sandwich, soda, French fries, all in a single disposable package. Eating hastily while checking the phone. The result is a glycemic spike, followed by early hunger and inevitably caloric excess. Curious fact? Studies from Japan's National Institute of Health and Nutrition show that the average calories ingested per meal is about 30% lower than in the United States. But the perceived satiety index is practically the same. This proves that quality and variety beat quantity. Interactive question. Which of these Japanese habits do you think is easiest to adopt tomorrow? Smaller portions, fermented foods, or eating without your phone in your hand? Write in the comments. Imagine a country where children learn to eat well before they even know how to write fluently. In Japan, this isn't a utopian idea, it's reality. In Japanese schools, nutrition is part of moral and civic education. It's called shokuiku, or conscious food education. And here's the most interesting part. It doesn't just happen in theory. Children don't just learn about nutrients and calories, they participate in organizing the cafeteria. They serve their classmates with care and respect. They eat together without distractions in a clean and quiet environment. They wash their bowls and utensils with care. And above all, they reflect on where food comes from and the human effort behind it. This direct contact with the act of eating, as part of routine, not as an imposition, creates a healthy and balanced relationship with food from childhood. There's no forbidding sweets as punishment. There's balance. Snacks are varied, homemade, and accompanied by pedagogical supervision. Now, compare this with many Western systems where school lunch can be a microwaved pizza, French fries, and soda consumed in 15 minutes in front of a phone. And the numbers don't lie. Japan has one of the lowest rates of childhood obesity on the planet. And much of this is due to how food is taught and lived in schools. If this type of content is helping you reflect, give it a like now, because this helps YouTube deliver this video to more people who are also tired of living on autopilot. And tell me, did you have any classes about nutrition in school? Or did you learn everything alone, the hard way? Tell us in the comments. When we think of physical exercise, many people imagine gyms, weight training, or long runs. But in Japan, the secret of weight control is more in the natural movement of daily life than in intense training. There, it's normal to walk 6,000 to 8,000 steps per day, simply because of the urban lifestyle. Going to school, work, shopping, visiting friends, everything is done on foot or with public transportation, which naturally requires more movement. Few people drive cars in big cities like Tokyo or Osaka. Subway, trains, and bicycles reign. And this changes everything. The Japanese population, even without frequenting gyms, burns calories constantly throughout the day, without realizing it. Additionally, there's a culture of morning stretching, like the famous Ragyo Taiso, or radio gymnastics, broadcast since the 1920s. Thousands of people still practice it today in squares, schools, and companies. Unlike the West, where the body is often seen as a tool for appearance, in Japan, it's viewed as a temple of functionality and respect. Staying active is a personal and collective duty. And there's more. This constant movement improves mood, regulates sleep, and reduces hunger spikes, creating a positive domino effect on metabolism. Reflection for the audience. Can you imagine your routine without a car, without an elevator, without moving only when training requires it? Maybe the secret to losing weight isn't doing more exercise, but moving more naturally throughout the day. Have you tried taking the stairs instead of the elevator? Or walking to the market instead of ordering delivery? Comment here below and inspire other people.
If you're starting to wonder what really makes Japan so different, stay with me, because in the next few minutes, we'll uncover a habit that might be silently sabotaging your health, and it's something millions of people do every single day without realizing it. So go ahead and tap that like button now. It tells the algorithm this is worth sharing, and let's keep digging deeper. Now let's go to the other side of the world, literally. The United States isn't just a leader in innovation, entertainment, and technology. Unfortunately, they also lead in something alarming: obesity. More than 41.9% of the American adult population is obese, according to the CDC. And what's behind this gigantic number isn't just the amount of food. It's the quality, the marketing, and the way food culture has developed in recent decades. Look at this. Most foods sold in supermarkets come in large packages with slogans like "more for less." Restaurants offer portions so exaggerated that one meal can have twice the recommended daily calories. The consumption of sugary drinks is extremely high: sodas, industrial coffees, energy drinks. And perhaps most dangerous, sugar and trans fats are hidden in foods that seem harmless, like sauces, yogurts, and fitness breads. Additionally, the habit of eating in the car, in front of the television, or while working disconnects the brain from the sensation of satiety. You eat more than you need and don't even notice. And the body pays dearly. Obesity brings real risks: type 2 diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, joint problems, and even cancer. And here's a strong point of the video. In the US, excess weight is already treated as a silent pandemic that kills slowly but efficiently. And have you fallen into the trap of some apparently healthy food and only later realized it was a caloric bomb? Tell us in the comments.
When we think of developed countries like Canada and Australia, we usually imagine quality of life, safety, good hospitals. But there's an enemy growing silently behind all of this: obesity. Both Canada and Australia have alarming rates of overweight and obesity. Canada, about 28% of the adult population is obese, and more than half is overweight. Australia, about 31% of the adult population is obese, and childhood data is even more concerning. And the most shocking part? The causes are very similar to those in the United States. Sedentary lifestyle, industrialized food, delivery, high consumption of sugar and hidden fats, all of this is present in these modern, urban, and accelerated cultures. In both countries, the presence of supermarkets full of ultra-processed products is dominant. Screen time, TV, computer, phone, exceeds 8 hours per day on average. Children already grow up with impoverished eating habits, even in schools with good structure. Despite public health campaigns trying to change this scenario, the cultural and behavioral impact still speaks louder. And the most curious thing? In both countries, there's influence from Asian culture and cuisine, but this influence doesn't reach the general population, only specific groups. That is, having access to information isn't enough. You need to break patterns. If you're enjoying this content, subscribe to the channel now. We're building a community that seeks health based on knowledge and awareness, without extremism, without miracles, just truths. Question: in your opinion, what leads countries with so many resources and structure to follow the same destructive food path as the USA? Let's talk about this in the comments.
It's common to hear, but Japanese people are lucky. They're born thin. But is it really all about genetics? Or are we ignoring the determining role of habits throughout life? Modern science has clear answers. Genetics does influence, but habits shape destiny. A study published by Nature Genetics showed that genetic factors can represent up to 40% of obesity predisposition. This means 60% is in our hands. And when we observe populations that maintain healthy habits from childhood, like in Japan, this predisposition rarely manifests. In the case of the Japanese, diet rich in fiber and poor in saturated fat keeps metabolism more stable. Constant body movement helps insulin sensitivity. Reduced exposure to processed foods preserves intestinal microbiome, which is directly linked to weight regulation. Sleep is more regular, stress is controlled more naturally, and mental health is valued. Now, when we take someone with good genetics, but who lives sedentarily, eats fast food daily, and sleeps poorly, the result will be, sooner or later, weight gain and its side effects. Biology responds to environment, and this is liberating because it means you can change your health without needing genetic luck. So, in here is a direct message. You're not condemned by your genetics. You're being shaped by your habits. And you, have you used the genetics excuse to justify some difficulty with your body? How about trying to change the question now? What habits can I change today? Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to eat just one of those chips, cookies, or industrial chocolates? The answer is simple and frightening. They were made for that. Ultra-processed foods are products created in laboratories to activate the brain's reward circuits, exactly like what happens with drugs. Yes, you read that right. Scientifically speaking, eating certain industrial products generates a dopamine spike as intense as using addictive substances. And here's the danger. They're rich in hidden sugars, bad fats, and chemical additives. They have texture and crunchiness designed to stimulate compulsive consumption. They offer almost no real nutritional value, but generate false satiety and quick hunger. This generates a cycle. You eat, feel good for a few minutes. Your body enters metabolic stress. Hunger comes, and you eat again. This pattern has become common in countries like the United States, Canada, and Australia. Not coincidentally, they're the world leaders in obesity and metabolic diseases. Meanwhile, in Japan, foods are prepared with real, fresh, and local ingredients. There's no appeal to instant pleasure, but rather to balance, moderation, and simplicity. A study in The Lancet concluded that each additional serving of ultra-processed food per day increases the risk of obesity in adults by 18%. Direct reflection for the viewer. Is the problem you or what they put on your plate? If this video is making you rethink habits, share it with someone in your family. It could be the beginning of a collective turnaround. You might think that the Japanese lifestyle is impossible to follow. After all, we're in another country, with another culture, another routine. But what if I told you that several lessons from Japan can be applied to your life today, wherever you are? The issue here isn't copying a country. It's learning from those who are doing it right and adapting intelligently. Look at what can already be applied in the West. Smaller portions. Japan teaches that satiety comes from variety, not quantity. Eating with attention. Turn off the TV, put away your phone. Make meals a ritual. Real and natural foods. Rice, vegetables, fish, fresh fruits. Less labeling, more flavor. Walking more. Replace small car trips with daily walks. Gratitude before eating. It may seem simple, but saying thank you to food changes your relationship with it. Additionally, valuing the collective, as happens in Japan, helps form healthier habits at home, school, and even in the work environment. In the United States, Canada, and Australia, some schools and groups are already starting to apply this. But the big turnaround only happens when you decide to change and inspire others to do the same. And here's the reminder: health doesn't start at the hospital, it starts at breakfast. Leave in the comments which of these Japanese practices you'd most like to see applied in schools, restaurants, and homes in your country. Let's create this conversation together.
And now, what are you going to eat? After everything we've seen so far, maybe the most important question isn't why is Japan thinner, but rather, what am I going to do with this information from now on? Because in the end, the change isn't in Tokyo or New York, it's on your plate. You have choices every day: what to eat, how to eat, with whom to eat, and even why to eat. And here's the hardest and most liberating truth. Obesity is multifactorial, but the decision to start a turnaround is personal. It doesn't matter where you live. You can reduce portions, avoid ultra-processed foods, go back to cooking at home, eat calmly and mindfully, move more during the day, teach your children to respect food. These changes don't depend on the government, genetics, or luck. They depend on you. And maybe now, after knowing Japan's millennial habits and the mistakes made by countries like the United States, Canada, and Australia, you're more ready than ever to choose a new path. So, here's the final challenge. In your next meal, choose at least one habit from Japan and apply it. Just one, and see what happens. If this video inspired you in any way, comment here below: "Yes, I accept the challenge." And if you're not subscribed yet, click the red button right now, because in the next videos, we'll bring even more content like this: practical, exciting, and transformative. And activate the bell, because your healthy future starts with a click and a decision.